Growing up, did you ever go snorkeling along Florida's scenic Highway 30A? Along with picking up seashell fragments and playing tag with sand crabs, snorkeling is a childhood ritual that many of us no doubt share. The colorful and cheap plastic masks of our youth were usually leaky and ill-fitting, often leaving behind unflattering rashes and cut marks behind sunburned ears. Of course, just as soon as you finally got that mask strapped on as tightly as humanly possible, it would instantly fog up, effectively rendering you completely blind both above and below the water's surface. And then, when that magical moment finally arrived when you could briefly glimpse into the never-ending nautical abyss, well, let's admit it. There really wasn't a whole lot to see down there, even just a few years ago. I mean, at least along this particular stretch of coast. That's because this region of the Gulf of Mexico is 95% barren salt flats. Yep, this is essentially the Sahara Desert of the underwater world. Of course, just like the desert, life exists here, but it's often spread out and hidden from plain sight among endless miles of barren sand. But a few years ago in Walton County, Florida, a nonprofit group known as South Walton Artificial Reef Association, or SWARA for short, began creating a network of artificial reefs along these white, sandy shores. These artificial reefs instantly became thriving oases in a seemingly endless desert sea.
So SWARA was started in 2013. It was an idea that came about in response to the 2010 BP oil spill disaster. A lot of these panhandle communities and counties were very concerned about the effects that was going to have, and so all of us at SWARA kind of got started thinking, what can we do to help bring more awareness to our natural resources? What we came up with was to create a network of artificial reef systems. And so any sort of structure that we put out there is going to attract fish, is going to help bolster the marine ecosystem. That's where the sustainability sort of starts. This is a place that not only fish can eat, but they can live.
Meanwhile, another local nonprofit, the Cultural Arts Alliance, had an inspired idea to create an underwater museum. Before long, the artists and the reef makers hooked up, and their unlikely offspring would produce something truly remarkable.
The CAA is obviously known for our artistic programming. Allison Wicke was on our board at the time. She's a local artist, she's a diver, and she had been down below to see the artificial reef that were already in place. And so she came to me with the idea to put art underwater as artificial reef. And it was so beautiful and wonderful to be able to partner with a non-arts organization to make the project come to fruition. And it took not just the two organizations, but the county, private sector, contributions, individuals, and it was just a really great collaboration on all fronts.
The South Walton Artificial Reef Association set aside 1 acre of its already permitted seabeds off of Grayton Beach State Park to create a new underwater space for this extraordinary exhibit. Many months later, in 2018, when these first massive sculptures were slowly and precisely lowered into the Gulf of Mexico, 30A's Underwater Museum of Art instantly became America's first permanent underwater sculpture garden. Called UMA for short, this extraordinary underwater museum of art resides less than a mile off the coast at a depth of approximately 58 feet.
Leading up to deployment day is very exciting and very nerve-wracking because it all depends on the weather. And then the day of, when we finally get to do it, it's so exciting because we have artists there, we have sponsors. It's kind of bittersweet because I know, as someone who isn't a diver, that I will never see them again. So I feel a bit of sadness saying goodbye to them, but it's so beautiful to watch them submerge in the water. It's just, there's nothing like it. It's really magical.
30A's Underwater Museum of Art became a sensation almost overnight. Time magazine named UMA one of the world's 100 greatest places, and it's been covered in countless publications and news sources ever since.
I love how we've had some returning artists. Marisol Rendon and Ingram Ober have created 2 pieces. With their last one, 3 Wishes, divers can actually use their regulator to blow air from their tank into the piece where bubbles will come out of the end, and it is so cool to see.
Of course, every day, most of the guests who tour this museum aren't humans at all. That's because these sculptures were designed to serve as thriving, living, breathing marine habitats. Very quickly, many different species of Florida corals and sponges begin to encase each sculpture. That's when they really come to life. The museum also provides marine scientists, wildlife management professionals, ecologists, and students with a unique opportunity to study marine life and to measure the impact of artificial reef systems on our Gulf ecosystem.
As a kid growing up along the beaches of 30A, I remember making my own pole spear, after reading some Terry Moss book or something from Sea Hunt, and we'd swim out there on the second sandbar for 3 or 4 hours, and if we saw 1 fish, it was a good day. If we saw 2 fish, great day. And now, fast forward to 2015 and now 2021, you can swim right out there and just be surrounded by all kinds of creatures. Huge schools of fish. You can see sharks out there, sea turtles, manta rays. We have seen all kinds of different species that we do not generally see in this shallow of water, or even some that we don't even see this far north in the Gulf sometimes. It's just fantastic to see what SWARA has been able to do with these reef deployments.
When 2 unlikely partners joined forces, these artists and reef makers not only created something aesthetically beautiful, they created living ecosystems that will outlast us all. In the meantime, America's first and only underwater museum of art will serve to inspire, to educate, and to provide a vibrant habitat for our good friends and neighbors who call the Gulf of Mexico home.